welcome back to my channel. Today I have 3 super easy summer recipes for you. The first one is going to be a Oreo lasagna. It's like a chocolate layered dessert. So good. It's my husband's favorite dessert ever. So if you like chocolate, cheesecake sort of dish, you're definitely going to love that one. And then the second recipe is a super quick and easy kind of fruit salad with some marshmallows, whipped topping, super easy to throw together, and it's perfect for like a summer barbecue. And then the last one is a potato salad recipe. Really easy to throw together. It does take a little bit of time just because there's some chopping, prep work involved, but it's honestly a super easy dish to make. But I'm sharing all of those recipes with you today. If you're new here, definitely go ahead and hit that little subscribe button. I would love to have you. I do tons of cooking content on this channel. I do what's for dinner every Sunday, lots of crock-pot meals, grocery hauls, things like that. So definitely make sure you're subscribed if that is something you're interested in. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these recipes. So to start off, I am making this super delicious Oreo lasagna recipe. I know you guys are going to love this one. It is a family favorite dessert for us. I have made this so many times and it's always such a crowd pleaser. So this is definitely a recipe that you're going to want to try out. I'm starting off with a whole package of Oreos, or I guess I should say just under a whole package. This is a family size one and I used almost the full thing. The recipe called for about 15 ounces. I probably used just a little bit more than that. And then I'm just pulverizing these in my blender. I did leave some bigger chunks kind of left bigger for on top of the Oreo lasagna, but you do want these pretty finely crushed. You can also throw them into a Ziploc bag and crush them up that way, but you just want them all crushed up. So what I'm dividing up here, those bigger chunks are going to go on top of the lasagna at the end, and then these smaller chunks are going into a 9x13 pan with a stick of melted butter, and I'm just getting all of that mixed together. And then I'm actually taking a heavy bottom glass and just kind of pressing this crust into the bottom of my pan, and this is going to be the bottom of our lasagna. So then you're just going to set this crust to the side while we get all of the other layers ready to go. So here I'm making my pudding layer. So I'm adding in 3 1/4 cup of milk into my bowl. And then I'm mixing in 2 packages of chocolate pudding mix. This is the instant kind and they're just the regular size packages. So you're just gonna get all of that mixed together really well. I did just want to mention too that I will have this full recipe linked down below, so it's super easy for you guys to follow along with. All of the measurements will be in that full recipe. So for your next layer, you're going to take a fully separate bowl and add in 1 block of softened cream cheese. You do want to make sure that's pretty well softened just so it mixes up well. But you're just going to take your hand mixer, or you can use a KitchenAid if you want. But I'm just using my hand mixer, getting that mixed together. And then I'm adding in 1 cup of powdered sugar. You'll see that I add this in 2 different steps. So I do about half a cup at a time just to make sure that the powdered sugar doesn't go everywhere all over my kitchen. But you're basically just going to get all of this mixed together. And then you're going to take an 8-ounce container of Cool Whip and just get that folded in. You don't want to beat this in with the hand mixer, just give it a really good mix with a spatula. Now that all of the layers are all ready to go, we're basically just gonna layer this up in the dish. So if you remember that Oreo crust that we had from earlier, that is obviously on the bottom. And then this next layer that I'm adding in is the cream cheese and Cool Whip layer. And then right on top of that, we're gonna be adding in our pudding. I forgot to mention this earlier, but I did stick this pudding in the fridge for probably like 5 minutes or so, just until I whipped up all of the other layers. And then once you have your pudding good to go, you're going to be adding in your last layer of the whipped cream. So this is just another container of regular Cool Whip, just the regular 8-ounce container. I'm getting that spread all across the chocolate lasagna. And then right on top of this Cool Whip layer, I'm going to be adding in the rest of the crushed Oreos from earlier. Just get all of those spread right on top evenly. So this is what the Oreo lasagna ends up looking like. This is one of our all-time favorite desserts. You guys are going to absolutely love this recipe. If you try it out, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Next up, I'm making this super delicious fruit salad that is perfect for summer. It's called a Watergate salad. You've probably heard of it before or had it at a potluck. But to start off, you're just gonna add in 1 can of crushed pineapple, juice and all, no need to drain it. And then you're also gonna be adding in 2 boxes of pistachio pudding mix. This is the instant kind, and you're gonna get all of that mixed together. I will say if you want this to be more pineapple in here, then go ahead and add in 2 cans of crushed pineapple instead of the 1. And then you're going to add in 1 big container of Cool Whip. This is the 16-ounce container, and you're just gonna get this folded into that mixture. After you have it all mixed together really well, you're also going to be adding in 2 cups of mini marshmallows, and then I like to add just a good handful of crushed walnuts. I probably added maybe like 1/3 to 1/2 cup or so. I just eyeballed it. I don't like a ton of nuts in mine, but you can add whatever your family prefers. This is what it ends up looking like. It's super delicious and easy to pull together. Next up, I am making this super delicious potato salad that is perfect for your family summer barbecue. I'm actually starting off with making my potatoes, and I'm throwing them right into my crock pot. My mom taught me this and it works so well. You just put all of your potatoes in there, make sure they're washed and good to go, and then you fill it up about halfway with some water and let that cook on high until the potatoes are fork tender. I would say I did mine for about like 4 or 5 hours, and then here I'm just removing them and throwing them into this casserole dish, popping them into the fridge to let them cool off, and then I will be peeling them in a little bit. For my boiled eggs, I like to use my Instant Pot, but of course you can just boil them on the stove if you prefer. But I am throwing in about 12 eggs in here. I did have some extras left over, but I am just throwing about 12 in here. And then as far as water, I throw in about 1 1/4 cup of water. And then I'm just pressure cooking these for about 5 minutes. When they're done, I do let them do a natural release for about 5 minutes as well. When the eggs are all done cooking and they have pressure released for 5 minutes, I throw them right into an ice bath full of water for about 5 minutes. While my eggs are cooling off, I'm just going ahead and peeling all of the potatoes. I don't think I mentioned this before, but this was probably about 6 pounds of potatoes that I did. I did double this recipe because it was for a barbecue, but I'm just getting all of these potatoes peeled. I will say this is kind of a tedious process, so definitely be prepared for it to take a little bit of time. It is very simple. I just kind of peel them with my fingers. If there's a spot that's kind of stuck on there, I will just use like a paring knife. It works out just fine. Once I have all of those peeled, I'm actually just moving on to the eggs. They were all cooled off and ready to go. So I'm just getting these separated from the yolks. I just take the whites, chop those up, and then throw the yolks into a separate bowl that's going to be used for the dressing of this potato salad. After your eggs are all chopped up, you're basically just going to be moving on to your potatoes and getting those chopped up as well. I would say I cut mine into about 1/2-inch cubes, but this is really just personal preference. You can do whatever your family prefers. Some people like them bigger, some people like them smaller, so just do whatever you would like. Like I said, this is a really easy recipe to put together. It does take a little bit of time though, just because of all the chopping involved and the fact that you have to cook the potatoes, the eggs, all of those things. Definitely just takes a little bit of time, but it is really easy to make. And to chop up all of the veggies, I actually just throw them right into my Ninja because it really makes them nice and finely chopped, which is what I like for potato salad. So I'm just throwing in about 1/2 of an onion, 1/2 of a pepper, about 4 dill pickles, as well as about 2 stalks of celery. And I'm just getting these really finely chopped. Of course, you can do this by hand if you prefer, but I am all about making things a little bit easier and saving some time. So I really like using my Ninja for this. So if you remember those yolks that we set aside earlier, you're just gonna go ahead and throw those into a bowl and get them mashed up really well. I just use a fork for this, and I do make sure that they're really, really well mashed up because this is gonna be the base for our sauce. And then into these egg yolks, I'm just adding in 2 cups of mayo. Like I mentioned before, I did double this recipe, so I'm gonna have the full recipe linked down below for you guys, so it's just really easy for you to follow along with. You'll also need about 4 tablespoons of yellow mustard. You're also going to add in about 1/2 cup of buttermilk along with a splash of pickle juice and some salt and pepper. A lot of this is just to taste, so you're gonna have to adjust this to your liking. I definitely did end up adding a little bit more salt and pepper at the end. Like I said, just do it to taste and see what your family likes. Now we are ready to get everything mixed together. Like I said, I doubled this recipe, so I had a huge batch and I didn't have enough room in the big bowl, so I just separated it into 2 bowls and added it that way. Otherwise, my bowl was just gonna be an overflowing disaster. So I'm just adding everything in here, and I just kind of have the ingredients and mixed it together that way. So I'm also adding in all of those chopped up veggies that I threw in my Ninja from earlier. And then I'm also going to be adding in the sauce here. So I don't add the full amount of sauce right away. I never want it to be too liquidy, so I just kind of gradually add it in. You will see that I add a little bit more here in just a couple of minutes, but I just do this to taste and make sure that I get the consistency that I like and the flavor that we like. So this is where I'm adding in some extra salt and pepper. I do feel like it needs some extra salt and pepper, but of course just see what your family likes and go from there. But definitely just taste it at this point, see what you think, and see if it needs anything else. And here I'm just mixing up that second batch. Like I said before, I'm just kind of gradually adding that dressing in, adding in some extra salt and pepper, giving it a quick mix, and it really is good to go at this point. Super easy and simple. And then I do like to add a little bit of paprika right on top, mostly for color and decoration. And here is what it ends up looking like. Super delicious and easy to make. Alright guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. I really hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Hit that little subscribe button if you would like to see more food related content. I do post what's for dinners every single Sunday, grocery hauls all the time, and just other tons of food related content. So if that is something that you're interested in, definitely make sure you're subscribed. But that is going to be it for today's video. I will see you guys next time. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care.